And I knew the burning question on everybody's mind, which game do I think is the absolute worst on Game Pass right now? Over this past weekend, I was hanging out on Reddit, reading some musings of our other Xbox brethren, and I came across a post that was titled, "What is the worst game that you have ever played on Game Pass?" And I thought to myself, oh man, I've got some bad games to put on this long list of comments. And I will put a link in the description if you want to read through all like 900 comments that are on this thread. And the comment with the most upvotes was somebody commenting that Starfield was the worst game on Game Pass, and this completely blew me away. I thought to myself, Starfield? Really? That is the worst game on Game Pass? Because there's about 500 games on Game Pass right now at the time of this video. So I said, okay, that's just one person's opinion, but let's look and see what other games got listed. And just a couple comments down, we see another user that's saying that Starfield could be considered the worst game on Game Pass. Another one, so Starfield was in fact for me the worst game. Another person right here, also his answer is Starfield being the worst game on Game Pass. This user made the comment that Starfield was so bad that he may never buy a game ever again. Another one, Starfield. Another one, Starfield, worst game. And they honestly kind of go on and on like that. Now people do list some other games, which I personally would be more inclined to agree with. So games like Redfall, 12 Minutes, Atomic Heart, We Happy Few, Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, Skatebird, which for me personally, I thought Skatebird was going to be like this really cool, like, oh, this is awesome, there's skateboarding birds, this is so rad, only to be let down by the controls of Skatebird. Now I understand that all of this is opinion. I personally wouldn't say that Starfield is the worst game on Game Pass, but let's look into some details of why people named Starfield the worst game on Game Pass as of right now. Number one, if you consider the budget and the hype for this game. Of course, Bethesda spent millions of dollars producing this game. They had huge advertising campaigns. This was going to be the first game under the Microsoft umbrella for Bethesda, and it had a day one release on Game Pass. So there was tons of hype coming for this game. Another user said that the starships felt really sluggish to them. There was far too much walking and there were too many loading screens. And this opinion really got me thinking because I was like, you know, there is a fair amount of loading screens, and a lot of the worlds do seem kind of empty. Wherever you land your ship, you usually gotta run to the place that you're actually going to. Another user said that it didn't feel as open as they were expecting it. It felt rushed like most AAA title games nowadays. User left a comment saying that Starfield is the furthest game from expectation versus reality of what the game actually delivered. And when you put it that way, I can definitely see why people would consider this the worst game on Game Pass. Another Reddit user put it this way, which I thought was actually really helpful, is that Starfield is underwhelming, but it's not even in the bottom 50 worst games on Game Pass. Now, what would make a game the actual worst potential on Game Pass? I would say games with poor controls would be number one, and that's why I mentioned Skatebird. Number two, games that just feel unfinished, and Redfall could be put into that category. Number three, just not enough to do. Or I would also say not enough of a variety of things to do, so games that are like real repetitive. And the last one, games that feel oversold, which is where Starfield is landing. And I knew the burning question on everybody's mind, which game do I think is the absolute worst on Game Pass right now? Admittedly, I have not played every single one of the almost 500 games on Game Pass. I personally think that Totally Reliable Delivery Service and Human Fall Flat are the worst games on Game Pass for me. And it is because of the number one reason that I stated, which is poor controls. I personally don't like the way that these games control. But does that mean that they're actually the worst? Well, yes and no. For me, they are, because I get frustrated trying to play this game. But I know multiple other people that really enjoy these games and can spend hours playing them. And now it's your turn to chime in. Let me know if you feel that Starfield is the worst game on Game Pass. I've been John, by the way. Thanks for checking out my Xbox channel, and we will see you guys in the next one.